Now, if you look at the world today, you're not going to be so happy about where things stand. Why? When it comes to idolatry, this is one of the things that God detests more than anything else, because you're replacing the creator of everything with a creation. You're replacing the ultimate everything with something that's less than nothing. So idolatry is clearly something that many people fall for. Sometimes they make a human being into an idol. Sometimes they make money their idol, as they chase it, as they live for it, as they praise it, as they simply make their whole life only about it. The only intellectual conversation they could possibly have is about all types of economic statistics that they memorized or have read in the paper that morning and pretend like they memorized. If you ask them about anything else of substance, they don't have much to say. They don't care enough until the money loses its value. Not because they lost the money, but simply they start realizing that there's more to life than just money. There's more to life than just possessions. But people turn money into idolatry, both Jews and non-Jews alike, sometimes. Sometimes people turn people into idolatry, where they decide that a person became God somehow. Now, if that's not bad enough, we have people that don't understand what it is to be a good person, but they decided that they know more about the creation than the creator itself, and when the creation doesn't function according to their likings, they start cursing out the creator. Many times people use it to such an extent that they even use it in their day-to-day language, just the way that they speak. These are things that happen all the time. Murder. Now, of course, I don't have to tell you about all the horrible things that are happening in neighborhoods that have a bunch of degenerates running it, either because it's a lawless place or because the law is so flawed that the people that are supposed to institute and apply the law are more corrupt than the civilians they're supposed to protect. If you look at different places around the US and different countries, murder happens every day. Sometimes people shoot each other just because he took his parking spot. Other times because he took his girlfriend. The value of life is deteriorated to such an extent that people think that life is like a video game. But if that's not bad enough, you even have leaders, religious leaders, such as the ones that are promoting all of this terrorism, telling people that their way to win is by killing Jews. Their way to win is by drowning all the Jews from the river to the sea. To such an extent that the people follow and massacre thousands upon thousands of people they never knew, people they never met, people that don't even have the ability to protect themselves. And the ideology of the world has become so upside down that when the victim starts defending themselves, somehow the victim becomes the enemy. Sometimes you're baffled at the level of corruption that's happening in society, but other times you just simply say this is literally a lost cause. Now, stealing, this is something that literally, if you haven't stolen, maybe it's because you don't have hands. So many people steal from their bosses, from their customers, from the government, to such an extent that they've redefined stealing in a positive way in society. They call it hustling. Like, if you beat the man, you deserve what you got. Like Robin Hood became a good guy because he stole from the people that have a lot. Somehow, it's okay to steal from rich people or rich entities. Somehow, the bad guy became a good guy. The villain became a good guy. This is what they teach kids, even from the time I was a kid. Stealing has become standard. People that want something, they just simply take it now. When I was a kid, if somebody stole, usually they'd hide. They go into a store, take something, put it in their pocket, and sneak out before somebody caught them. I used to work in retail stores as a kid. And we'd see different guys would stand in the corner next to some shirt or pants or whatever it was for a while. And as soon as any one of the salespeople got close to them, they would run away. Like, what happened? You don't want the pants? You don't want the shirt? And then you start seeing, they were trying to take out the security mechanism that's attached to it with a rubber band. They take a rubber band and just take it around the nail over and over again. Little by little, it would release the security clip on there. And then they could just walk out of the door with the pants or shirt or whatever it was without the beeping, without them getting caught. But at the very least, back then, at least there was some type of process. People were ashamed to steal. People were scared to steal. Today, look what's happening in America. People literally are going into stores in groups and mobs in open daylight, smashing all the windows, smashing all the displays, taking the phones, taking the shoes, taking the clothes, taking the groceries, taking whatever is there. And literally, without even running out, they're just gathering thousands and thousands of dollars worth of stuff and just walking out, and nobody does anything about it. No one can do anything about it. If you call the police, the company will fire the employee that called the police. Stealing has become acceptable in society. The sages teach us that when the Torah says in Parashat Noach, and the entire world was full of Hamas, it wasn't talking about the terrorists of today, perhaps prophesizing about them, but wasn't back then. The whole land was full of Hamas. The whole land was full of stealing. Stealing became acceptable behavior. Court system. A court system is a court system that's supposed to protect society. But when you have a person that kills somebody get a sentence of 5 years or 10 years in prison, while a person that stole money from a bunch of investors go to jail for 25 years, become the norm, it's very clear there's something wrong with this legal system. When you have somebody that steals under $1,000 released without any warning, without anything, because it's less than $1,000, even if he and a bunch of other people did it at the same time, you realize that there's something wrong with the legal system. When you look at the legal system in the world today, aside from the lawyers that continue making a fortune losing cases, no one else is happy with the legal system. So you see that the legal system inherently is not exactly the legal system that God told us that the non-Jews have to have. The Jews have their legal system, which is the rules of the Torah. The non-Jews are supposed to have a legal system that is civil. If this is what civil is, what's uncivilized? Now, eating a limb from a torn animal, this happens in certain parts of the world, but not quite as often as some of these other crimes. But I intentionally left the last one, which is the sexual transgressions, to last. And our word in our parasha this week, Parashat Kedushim, the book of Leviticus, chapter 20, God tells us that these rules also apply to the Jewish people. In fact, he gives us details of who and what is allowed and who and what is not allowed. And he tells us about the punishment that we'll be able to institute at the time of Moses, time of Moshe Rabbeinu. If someone was an idol worshiper, Jew or Gentile, they would get a death penalty. This obviously is not applicable today. Not that it's not applicable. Torah is still relevant, but the death penalty is divine now. It's not, there's no Sanhedrin that can apply these penalties. But nonetheless, God tells us clearly that someone that serves an idol loses their right to live. And there's different types of idols. There's the typical idol that people know, statues, people, and so on. But there's also sorcery, witchcraft, ovot, idonim. There's some people that do all types of spiritual things. There's some people that put a bone in the mouth of a animal or under the armpit. Some people are able to influence animals and have, in so many words, influence the animals to do whatever they want. It's another form of idolatry. There's all types of idolatries, many, many more than most people realize exist, especially in Western society today. All of these things are forbidden. All of these things God decreed are evil. But then he goes into the morality laws. He talks about how all of these different things are forbidden. Adultery is forbidden both for Jews and Gentiles. LGBTQ, forbidden for every one of mankind. Bestiality, forbidden for all one mankind. Now already here, most people have a problem. Especially the protesters. Especially the people that are not educated about what's good and what's evil. They no longer have to ask the Jews what the Jews think of them. In fact, even the Jews don't have to ask, what do other Jews think of them? Because who cares about what another person thinks of you if God already decreed something?